overview about operator scaling random field and conclude about generalization of our work to study conditionalist sub-Gaussian series. And all works have joint work with Hermine Vermeer and a part with Hans-Peter. So I begin with the classical self-similarity property. Then I will present the operator scaling 1 property, generalization to have some multiple operator, if I can say, and I will conclude with the conditionalist sub-Gaussian series. So classical self-similarity property has already been presented by David. So we've got here the scaling driven by the parameter h, usually called the Earth parameter. And as David said, the most famous self-similar random field is the fractional Brownian motion. And in my talk, David only speak about processes, and I will be interested in fields. That means that the h is indexed by RD. The h, x, and x is in R. So that's only the difference. I do not give the covariance, but if you want the covariance, you choose, you replace in David slide the absolute value by the Euclidean norm. And so here you've got 2 simulations done by the Stein method, and I'm going to say that Hermine will talk about this in this talk, in our talk. Sorry. And what would be important to know for the following is the harmonizable representation of the field. You can write it as a stochastic integral. Here you've got a random measure, and the integrand is deterministic. And what gives all the properties, the self-similarity properties, that's this norm here, which is homogeneous. Okay. And in the following, what will change to present the other model we studied, or I will change the random measure and do not have Gaussian fields, or I change here the norm by another function, which will change the self-similarity property. Okay? So what can I say before I present the operator scaling property? What can I say about the self-similarity property? Usually, if you consider a Gaussian random field with stationary increments, you know that to compute its regularity will be driven by the behavior of its variogram. So you have a look on the variogram here, and using self-similarity property, you can check that its behavior is given by the Euclidean norm 2h. And that means that if you compute what I call the directional pointwise order exponent, given by this quantity, in direction theta, it will be equal to h. So usually when so this works as soon as I have a Gaussian self-similar random field with stationary increments. But usually when you have the self-similarity properties, that's a global property, and usually the model you construct satisfies this equality. So that means that if you want to modelize, for example, a mountain, here you have an image of a bone, a trabecular bone, and here that's in a storm. That won't be a very good model, because here you would like that the sample path regularity varies around the position, and here you've got 2 directions, different, this one and this one, where the sample path properties are not the same. And even though we know here that we need a scaling property in this direction and a scaling property different in the other direction. So fractional Brownian motion won't be useful for this kind of problem. And the main idea of the paper of Birmi, Mershai, Scheffler is to combine, for example, how can I combine the self-similarity property in direction this one, and this one, how can I combine in a global property? So they change the self-similarity property by an operator scaling 1 here. So E is a matrix and C to E is the exponential of the matrix. So to be simple, let me take a simple matrix. Okay, I choose a diagonal matrix given by lambda 1 and lambda 2, and this can be rewritten like this. So that means that the scaling in direction 1 is not the same than in direction 2. Okay. And of course, if you choose lambda 1 equal to lambda 2 equal to 1 over h, you will find the self-similar property I present some slides. And that's all. What can the other link with self-similarity properties given in the following slide? If you choose an eigenvector, theta, linked to the eigenvalue lambda, and you look only at your fields in direction theta, then you want to obtain a process which is self-similar in the classical sense, and the order of self-similarity is 1 over lambda. So the nice property of the operator scaling property is that it combines different self-similarity properties which will depend on the direction theta you choose. And this will allow to construct more easily some model in which the order exponent will vary with the direction theta. But if we be hard with this property, that's to make this exponent depend on x. So here are 3 different textures for the diagonal matrix for, of course, several choices of lambda 1 and lambda 2, done by an extension of the method of Stein. And I think that Hermine will present more precisely the method, and so she will maybe give exactly the same picture. So now, some example. Maybe the first example we can give is the fractional Gaussian sheet. If you look, you replace the kernel by this one, which is a product, and you still keep a Gaussian measure. Then you can check that the fractional Gaussian sheet is operator scaling, and the order is given by a diagonal matrix with the value 1 over HE on the diagonal. And this example does not have stationary increments, but rectangular stationary increments. And it is known that the pointwise exponent in direction j, j, is equal to hj. So, but that won't be this example that will interest me in the talk, because I would like to keep stationary increments. So we will have a look on the harmonizable random fields introduced by Birmi, Mershai, Scheffler, defined by this. And as I say at the beginning of the talk, there is 2 differences with the harmonizable representation of fractional Gaussian motion. The norm has been replaced by this function c to 1 minus twice of e, where e will be the order of self-similarity divided by alpha. And W is not anymore a Gaussian measure, it can be a complex, stable, random measure. And the order is alpha. So you've got some condition to be sure that this stochastic integral is well defined. The first condition is about the eigenvalues of E. The real part should be greater than 1. And then to obtain the self-similarity property, you assume that C, the spectral density, also satisfies a self-similarity property. So an operator 1. Of course, if you choose the norm, you will obtain the fractional Gaussian motion, so that's and alpha equal to 2. And this one has stationary increments. what I am interested in is the sample path property, and may I prove what, may I give the values, excuse me, I have said that my English will be less fluent than yours. So may I compute the order exponents of this random tree? If it is Gaussian, that means if alpha is equal to 2, I will have a look on the variogram and try to compute its behavior. So this has already been done in the first paper of Hermine and his co-author. And in fact, you can control by something which depend on E. So here, I do not have anymore the Euclidean norm. I have a quasi-norm which is given by E. So I do not precise this quasi-norm because it's quite useful to write. But if you have a look on the paper of Hermine and Merschler-Scheffler, you will see that they have computed the order directional exponents for the Gaussian case. In a paper after, we have obtained a modulus of continuity which improves the result, and there is also some result of Clausel and Vedel about the sample path regularity of the Gaussian case. So, if the Gaussian case is well known, I will more speak about the stable case. So I choose alpha strictly less than 2, and what we have proved with Hermine is that we can also control, up to choose a modification, the behavior of the sample path and give an upper bound for the modulus of continuity, which will be also quantified by the quasi-norm tau. So just, I say it is awful, maybe in a simple example, it is quite easy to write and to comment on this result. If I again choose a diagonal matrix, I can choose tau like this. And what does that mean? That means that if, for example, x minus 1 is on the, I don't remember the term in English, so if I make this, if I assume that x minus 1 varies in this direction, you have a look on the denominator, and that says that it will be around x less than x minus 1 to the power 1 over h1. Okay? Up to a log term. So I will write, if I choose x plus lambda 1 minus x lambda 1 lambda x1. This will be less than lambda 1 lambda prime to the power 1 over h1, and there is a log of lambda minus lambda prime to the power 1 over alpha plus 1 over 2 plus epsilon that I can choose as small as I want. Okay, so that means that in direction A1, the order, the process is at least of order 1 over lambda 1, Eulerian of order 1 over lambda 1. So that will say that the exponents at point x in direction A1 is at least 1 over lambda 1. Okay? But that's better, that contains more information. And in the general case, where I cannot give you an expression for tau E, the main idea is to compare tau E in direction A1 with the Euclidean norm, and you obtain that this still be true. Okay? And the study, I will give you the key point of the study, but it's inspired from the study of Kono Maejima in the case of real harmonizable fractional stable motion when d is equal to 1. I don't know if you have already some question because, right? So the main idea is the following. We will not work on the harmonizable representation. We propose another representation in series. That's called Lepage random series. So my my random field x alpha is equal to another random field that I can write like this. Maybe, I don't know if you remember, but f alpha here is the kernel. Okay? F alpha is this kernel. So I have some jump of a Poisson process. I have to choose a density M, and then I apply the kernel at point x and the random variable Cn and multiply by Gn. And I have several things to choose. Here I can choose any Gn as soon as they are isotropic, and that's in L alpha. And for M, I can choose what I want as soon as this gives me an absolute, an equivalent flow to forget the assumption because I won't find the term. And so Cn are ID, and the law is given by L. So the main idea of Kono and Maejima is to choose Gn as Gaussian. Because if it is Gaussian, then you will conditionate by Tn and Cn, and you obtain conditionally to Tn and Cn a Gaussian process. And the main idea is to study this Gaussian process, its sample path property, and to see that it still be true for Z alpha. So that's what I say. The choice of Gn is Gaussian in order to have a Gaussian conditionally series. And then the modulus of continuity will be given by the behavior of the conditional variogram of your Gaussian field. So once you have conditionate, you obtain a Gaussian field. So you can study its variogram, and then you will obtain also the sample path property for your initial choice. So you see that I still have my M, and so M will be given by the behavior of your kernel. You choose it as best as possible to have the best upper bound for your modulus of continuity. And that's not all. To conclude, we need to follow the proof of Kolmogorov tensors. So in Kolmogorov tensors, you choose all the dyadics. You control in difference of dyadics. Except that here I do not want to have a control by the Euclidean norm. I want to control my process by tau E, and so I need to adapt the choice of this dyadic sequence. And I also have to control the variogram in function of tau E and not only of the Euclidean norm. So the difficulty here, you do not see them, but the part difficulties this one. So once you have done this, you obtain a lower bound for your Hölder exponents. And what I claim is that this lower bound is very sharp. That is that in fact it is an equality. So if I come back to my simple example, we know for all the E, but I prefer to focus on a simple example. So I choose a matrix E, which is diagonalizable with eigenvalue lambda 1 to lambda 2. And I will only focus on theta, which is an eigenvector for lambda E. And so in direction theta, the sample path property, the Hölder regularity, is given by 1 over lambda D. So how do I do that? It's only a control of the scale parameter. I will give a minoration of the scale parameter, and this will give me an upper bound for the Hölder exponent. So as I said at the beginning, what is nice is that now the sample path regularity depends on the direction I look the process. So that means they depend on theta, because even if it is not right, and lambda E, lambda I depend on theta. However, they do not depend on x. That means if I have a look at the process around 0 or around 1, it's the same. So we have tried to generalize and obtain something which only depends on x. And this leads us to consider multi-operator fields, which are defined here. So the difference is only in the kernel. The matrix E will depend on x now. And so C will satisfy an operator scaling property for E of X. That means that C also depends on X. If you work on this process, you can also obtain a modulus of continuity. It is less sharp than what we know for operator scaling, because you see that I have the power 1 minus epsilon here, and I do not have the log term. However, it will be sufficient to conclude on the elder exponent and to give the property. What is awful is that we have been obliged to do again all the study. I mean that usually when you have a fractional process such as fractional Brownian motion and you want to study multifractional Brownian motion, you use what you know for fractional Brownian motion, and then you only have to compare the true process. Here we do not succeed to do that, so that means that we have again given the Lepage series representation, again study the variogram, and we need a new difficulty. We need to compare two quasi-norms between x0 and E and x. So we say if one day we have to study again an alpha stable random field, we'll have the brave to do again a Lepage series representation, a control, because we see the key points, but we do not want to do again and again and again the same study. So the generalization should be, let me now consider a general alpha stable random field which is written like this. So I have a kernel F alpha. Under which assumption can I prove that there is a modification, and can I give some kind of control of the modulus of continuity? Of course, what I will do is to introduce a Lepage series representation. So to be simple, this one will now be denoted by Wn of x, and I will have a look on this conditional variable. And we begin, and we say, do we really need to know the form of Wn? So in fact, in our work, we do not need to know the exact form of Wn, and then for this form, there is some criteria simple to check our property. So I won't speak really about this. I will directly speak about conditionally sub-Gaussian random series. For you have here. So you consider now a series where Wn is not specially linked to an alpha process. It can have any form, and of course I will be interested to a special choice which will give the study of the alpha process, alpha stable process. So I do not choose anymore a Gaussian random variable. I choose sub-Gaussian random variable. Little more general. So that means that I can control the Fourier transform by this. And I choose Wn such that this sum is finite. Why? Because these conditions are equivalent to the convergence of Sn. Almost sure. And I will be interested in the limit S. And I have many questions in this framework, not only about the sample path regularity. When I see this framework, it arises at these three cases. The first one is linked to the beginning of my talk. It's linked, it says, what assumption must I do, I don't know, what are the assumptions under which my study I have previously done will still work. The second one is there uniform convergence, since I know that my process will be continuous. It is a natural question. And the last one is what is the rate of convergence. So I cannot speak today of the 3 points, but we have answered the 3 points. So the assumption, I focus of course on the first point. The assumption we need is about the equivalence of the conditional variogram, which is given by this. And if you have some control on this, you can answer the first question. So the control in this one, you need to prove that S between x and y, you know that you can control it by this kind of control where rho is quasi-metric. So that's like the quasi-norm, but it's the metric and not the norm. Here you see that gamma, beta, and eta are random variables. Under this, we can prove that there is uniform convergence, not only on a small ball around x0, and the ball is random. Then this gives us the continuity of the limit, and we also have a control of the behavior of the limit. You can say it's exactly the same work as what you have done for alpha stable process. Not exactly, because to obtain the uniform convergence and this, we need to control uniformly, in fact, the behavior of Sn. And so we use some different tools such as Levy inequalities. I think I still have time. So I don't give you, but for this process, we have also studied the speed of convergence. And, but I will now focus only on the case where I have shock noise series. That means that Wn will be on this form, where Tn is still be the jump of the process, the Poisson process. And for check of simplicity, I choose this quasi-metric linked to the tau E I present in the beginning. For this kind of series, and of course I think that you see that for a special Vn, I will come back to alpha stable process. For this kind of series, we have given a criteria based on its moment in order to have this assumption, and then to conclude that this works. So the criteria can be awful. It is this one. Sorry. So I choose a point in a compact, which is in 0, 2 times Rd. I suppose that V1 of x0, so x0 is there is a V alpha and a point Q. And then I assume that I have this control on the moment of V1. Then I will have the uniform convergence. The limit will be continuous. It will not only be continuous, I will have the control of its modulus of continuity, and here I do not have only a control around x0, I have a uniform control on all the compact K. That explains why the log term is not exactly of the same form of the beginning of the talk. And just to speak about the rate of uniform convergence, we have also an idea of the rate of uniform convergence. You will see me, maybe it's quite awful to check this assumption. So what we have done is to see what have we done to control this when we were studied alpha stable, the special alpha stable process harmonizable operator scaling. And so we have tried to generalize this, and this gives you this kind of this is an idea, in fact, of Kono and Maejima. The main, you need the integrability at one point, okay? And then, if you know that you can control V1 of x minus V1 of y by a function of rho, which is stochastic, of course, as this function is monotonic on a small interval around 0, you will conclude as soon as you have a control just of this type for G of H. What is nice is that at the beginning our question was, I would like to give a criteria to study alpha stable random processes. And in fact, in the framework I just presented, it will be more general than just only stable processes. So of course I have alpha stable processes choosing V1 equal to this. Okay. But if, in fact, I can also study the process in alpha and mu as a process of two variables, alpha and mu. And that will give me an idea of the sample path property of some process which has been recently introduced by Falconer, Ledivel, and Legevel, which are called multi-stable random fields. The difference is that alpha will depend on the position u, and so that means that for a fixed u, you've got a marginal which is alpha stable, but the order of stability is alpha of u. So globally, the process S tilde S is not alpha stable, but each marginal is alpha u stable. And so, two examples to conclude. The first one is if I consider the series which will be given using a kernel of operator scaling process, I have a control which is given exactly by the tau E, and the log term is only given by what the value of alpha at position u0. If I have a look around u0 of the sample path. And the last one, I think maybe I have done quickly, or I have done quickly, is for example linear multi-stable random fields. So at the beginning of the talk, I only speak about harmonizable random fields, but you know that fractional Brownian motion can also be represented by some moving average representation. And so there is a lot of works which study, for example, the stable counterparts of the moving average representation. That means, for example, the linear stable motion, which will be defined like this. So, means that x is the maximum between x and 0. So this process here, L alpha of t, is called the linear stable motion. And we know that an important assumption, if we want it to be continuous, is to assume that the kernel here is continuous. And that means that we assume that h is bigger than 1 over alpha. So I can propose a Lepage series representation of this field. It will be exactly what is right up here, but with alpha of u, which is constant, equal to alpha. And if I want to define the multi-stable random field associated to L alpha, it will be this one. Okay? And so I can also study this process, and I obtain its behavior, and what it is not surprising, its behavior is given by h1 minus 1 over alpha 1, where h is the minimum of the function h here, and alpha 1 is the minimum of the index stability. That's not surprising because for this, we know that the Alder exponent is given by h minus 1 over alpha. And so I expect that here it will be, if h is constant, I expect that it will be given by h minus 1 over alpha 1. And I have put a function of u, so I take also the numerator. I'm sorry for my not fluent English. Tell you that it's about my long travel. And I will conclude in it does not work. So my last slide is thank you for your attention. Bye.
Thank you very much, Celine. Even though Celine technologies are broke at the very end. So, thank you very much for this talk. Any questions? Comments? Yeah.
Maybe I missed this point. For the modulus continuity, what do you use? Just Cornell criterion or metric entropy?
No, like Kolmogorov, except that you have to control the anisotropy. If I want to control by the norm, I will only apply Kolmogorov. Okay? But you need to take care that you apply it conditionally and then that it will be true for all the process. So there is an almost sure change. So it is not, there is one generalization of Kolmogorov at one part, but I will say that it has been done in Kolmogorov.
But there is also a possibility to use metric entropy techniques.
Yes.
Look at the whether this will be giving sharper.
No.
Series?
No, I think it's not sharper. Another reason I've not used some anthropic criteria, and I think that we are sharper than some results in the value. I know that in the alpha, in the linear functional, the last example I present, we are sharper. We are sharper, of course, in the logarithm term.
You mean controls the maximum? Expected maximum?
In fact, you can link the work of Celine and also compare the kind of modulus of continuity we give. We give an uniform modulus of continuity, but there is some link and you can see that
The stable example involved integration against the white spots of the stable processes. And then you may choose the various stable processes, like independent coordinates, I understand, or isotropic. Would you comment on differences about the modulus of continuity? I hope I understood well the representation.
Yeah, maybe you can say again for me your question.
Yes. So there was this process X alpha,
Yes.
which was defined in terms of integration against the W alpha, which
Yeah.
was defined as I assume in RD.
Yes.
So this may be independent coordinates or isotropic, for instance. What would be the differences in modulus of continuity?
So here it is isotropic. So it is not a process, it's a random measure, but you can define a process linked to this random measure. I don't know.
Maybe we could discuss.
Yes, I don't know. I see no reason to say that the modulus of continuity will be the same. But I don't know. Yeah, it will be different, but I don't know. I don't know because I think I never use some random measure with independence, and so. But we can discuss something.
Okay, any other questions? Okay. I have a question. So you've done the extension of Self Similarity from one-dimensional time to multi-dimensional time. So can one get some interesting structures if you get infinite dimensional time, function index, fields or something of that sort? Then we can get scale with this very exotic, right?
I would say it is a very interesting question.
Okay.
I don't think it has been done.
Okay. All right. Any other questions? Okay, well, let's thank Celine once again.